तो हमास ने जो किया है वो तरीका उनका गलत था, लेकिन उनका रीजन ठीक है. The second thing what he said was that that part of Jerusalem where the Palestinians have their holy sites, UN decided to partition the Palestine into two parts, that is for the Jews and for the
problem. I think this Iron Dome also failed.
movements were taking place simultaneously. One was the movement of the Jews and other was the movement of the Muslims of Palestine. इनके पास ऑयल खत्म हो जाएगा, अमेरिका नए जॉर्डन वगैरह सबको जो है अपने उसमें कंट्रोल में किया. पैलेस्टीनियन को अगर ये कहीं और घर जगह दे देते हैं, पीपल वुड हैव एक्सेप्टेड दैट, दिस प्रॉब्लम वुड हैव. उसके बाद ये लड़ाई चलती रही मैम इनकी. उससे पहले 47-48 में कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हुआ, अरब इजराइल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट.
उन्होंने कितनी सारी कंट्रीज को डेट ट्रैप की वजह से फंसा करके रखा हुआ है.
उसके बाद 56 में सुएज कैनाल क्राइसिस हुआ मैम, बट मे बी द ईरान वाज रिस्पांसिबल इन आस्किंग देम.
एंड ऑल दोज इन्फिल्ट्रेशंस, क्योंकि इन्होंने इतने सारे जो बॉर्डर्स पे लगा करके रखे हुए हैं वायर्स एंड ऑल.
कार बाद में लोग जो है सिविलियंस मर रहे हैं, बच्चे मर रहे हैं. मोस्ट ऑफ द आउट ऑफ 12,000 आई थिंक 5,000 समथिंग आर. ये एरिया था ये ओटोमन एम्पायर के लिए.
जी जी.
बट मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द पीपल इन गाजा दे आर अगेन मॉनिटर करने के लिए, बॉर्डर मॉनिटर करके दे शुड बी इंटरनेशनल फोर्सेस आर सपोर्टिंग इजराइल ओनली बिकॉज़ उनको पता है कि मिडिल ईस्ट में तुम्हारी जो.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Tathastu-ICS podcast. In today's podcast, we are going to talk about Israel, the genesis of problem over there. Apart from that, obviously we will be discussing about Hamas attack, the counter attack of Israel, what are the implications when it comes to the geopolitics. And apart from that, obviously we are going to talk about India also in this. And in today's podcast, we are having a very special guest with us, Colonel Sirohi sir, and he has actually served in army for 35 years. And he is having a really very good experience and knowledge when it comes to the security kind of related matters and all. So sir, welcome to Tathastu-ICS podcast. So what do you feel that what is your opinion related to this thing that the genesis, the problem over here?
Ma'am, first thing is we must understand why this problem has erupted. This problem dates back to late 19th century and early 20th century, when there were two movements were taking place simultaneously. One was the movement of the Jews and other was the movement of the Muslims of Palestine. And both of them were trying to get hold of Palestine to make their homes.
Yes.
So but both of them collided and the problem started from there. That was the first point. Number two, during the first Zionist conference in 1897 and later on followed by Balfour Announcement Declaration of 1917, where it was decided that the Palestinians will have their home, the Jews will have their home in Palestine. So I think that there was a mandatory Palestine, that was that the British government was asked to make sure that the Jews have their home in Palestine. And after that, in 1947, UN decided to partition the Palestine into two parts, that is for the Jews and for the Palestinians. So that is where the problem started, and then the war started.
Okay.
Initially, it was a sectarian war, and later on, it evolved with a full-fledged war of 1948. So this is how the problem has come. Now, the problem is that there is a land which is sacred to all the three major religions of the world.
Exactly, sir.
That is the Christianity, that is the Jews, and the Muslims.
जी.
Now, Jews were spread all over the world, and when it was decided that Jews will have their land, because Jerusalem was the ancient capital of the Israeli kingdom.
जी.
So that is why it was decided that the Jews will have their home in Palestine. So Arab thought that it was totally against them, that somebody else from outside is coming and establishing themselves in their home. And as a result of when this partition took place, the 56% of the land of the Palestinian were given to the Jews or to the Israel. And remaining 44% was left for the Palestinian, whereas the population of Palestinian was much more than the Jews. So that was the start point of all this problem which we are facing today.
Okay. So the Jews people they basically decided कि हमको बस यही वाला जो एरिया है यहीं पे ही रहना है.
क्योंकि वो इसलिए रहना है क्योंकि उनका जो है एक तो इजराइल कैपिटल था, एंशिएंट कैपिटल,
हिस्टोरिकल
कैपिटल, एंड बिकॉज ऑफ द temple mount where the lot of temples of the Jews were there. So it became a very sacred place for them. So they decided कि यहीं पे, even the Britishers also decided कि Jews को अगर जगह देनी है तो यहीं पे पैलेस्टीन में देनी. तो ये यहाँ से लड़ाई शुरू.
तो यहाँ पे सब ब्रिटिशर्स का भी कुछ था क्या इंटरेस्ट जूस को सपोर्ट करने के लिए?
ये जो एक्चुअली ये एरिया था ये ओटोमन एम्पायर के नीचे. जब 1917 आफ्टर दिस फर्स्ट वर्ल्ड वॉर व्हेन द ओटोमन एम्पायर वाज डिफीटेड बाय द ब्रिटिशर्स, दैट टाइम द फ्रांस एंड ब्रिटिशर्स दे डिसाइडेड कि ओके अब जो है हम लेट्स गिव टू द पैलेस्टीनियन. अदरवाइज पैलेस्टीनियन को अगर ये कहीं और घर जगह दे देते पीपल वुड हैव एक्सेप्टेड दैट दिस प्रॉब्लम वुडंट हैव अराइज. पर अभी प्रॉब्लम ये हो गई कि मेरे पास 6 कमरे हैं और बाहर से जो आप मेरे 4 कमरे किसी और को दे दो और मेरे पास सिर्फ 2 कमरे रह जाए, तो दैट इज वाज द बेसिक प्रॉब्लम वी स्टार्टेड.
यहाँ पे इजराइल का भी ये रहता है कि हम हिस्टोरिकली यहीं पे बिलोंग करते थे, वी लेफ्ट बिकॉज ऑफ सम रीजंस एंड ऑल. हम फिर से अपनी जगह जो है वो चाहते हैं.
और पैलेस्टीन का पॉइंट ये है कि भाई ये तो हमारी अपनी जगह है.
हाँ.
क्योंकि वो 1947 जब ये पार्टीशन हुआ तो उससे पहले तो पूरा एरिया पैलेस्टीन का था.
हाँ, जब वो लोग चले गए वहां से तो ऑब्वियस सी बात है कि जब कोई जगह खाली हो जा रही है तो सम अदर पीपल विल बी कमिंग ओवर देयर एंड रिसाइडिंग.
तो उसकी वजह से क्या हुआ मैम कि जब जूज यहाँ पे सेटल होने शुरू हो गए तो जो अरब्स थे, जो पैलेस्टीन यहाँ के लोकल थे, वो रेफ्यूजी बन गए अपने देश.
हाँ.
तो दैट वाज द प्रॉब्लम.
वही पॉइंट है. ओके सर. सो एज यू सेड कि काफी सारे नंबर ऑफ अग्रीमेंट्स हुए, ये सारी चीजें हुए, तो व्हाई द अरब वर्ल्ड वाज नॉट एक्सेप्टिंग दिस थिंग एंड द पैलेस्टीनियंस आल्सो? मतलब ऐसा भी तो हो सकता था कि हम लोग जो है कहीं पे थोड़ा सा कॉम्प्रोमाइज कर लें, चीजें सेटल डाउन हो जाए.
कॉम्प्रोमाइज करने का इसलिए था, पहली बात तो अरब वर्ल्ड को ये लग रहा था कि ये जो जूज आए हैं ये हमारे ऊपर थोपे गए.
अच्छा.
दैट वाज द स्टार्ट पॉइंट, बिकॉज जूज वहाँ पे बहुत माइनर उसमें सेटलमेंट्स थी उनकी.
हाँ.
जो वहाँ पे ऑलरेडी पहले रहते थे.
और ब्रिटिशर्स ने भी पहले कहा था कि हम पूरा अरब वर्ल्ड एक ही को ही दे देंगे.
हाँ.
और वापस जूस का कोई था ही नहीं मेंशन, एंड ऑल ऑफ अ सडन
जो जूस को दे दो उसका भी आपने 56% जूस को दे दिया.
हाँ.
तो ये जो इसलिए दैट वाज द स्टार्ट पॉइंट जिसमें नहीं हुआ. उसके बाद ये लड़ाई चलती रही मैम इनकी. उससे पहले 47-48 में कॉन्फ्लिक्ट हुआ, अरब इजराइल कॉन्फ्लिक्ट. उसके बाद 56 में सुएज कैनाल क्राइसिस हुआ मैम. उसके बाद जो है 1967 वॉर हुआ. 1967 का जो 6 डे वॉर हुआ उसने पूरा जियोपॉलिटिकल सिचुएशन चेंज
किया. दैट वाज रियली
बिकॉज गाजा स्ट्रिप केम अंडर इजिप्ट, इजराइल, एंड इवन द वेस्ट बैंक केम अंडर इजराइल. तो ये पूरा इन्होंने, और गोलन हाइट्स भी वहां से आ गई. उसके बाद इनका 50s में यही झगड़ा चलता रहा. उसके बाद जो है इनका झगड़ा चलते चलते 90s में जाके देन एवरीबडी स्टार्टेड थिंकिंग कि इनका कोई ना कोई फैसला कराना चाहिए. द फर्स्ट इनिशिएटिव वाज टेकन इन ओस्लो वेयर यासर अराफात एंड प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ इजराइल दे मेट. एंड वहां पे सिर्फ 2 चीजें इंपॉर्टेंट हुई है. सबसे पहले तो यासर अराफात ने ही एक्सेप्टेड इजराइल एज ए नेशन.
सबसे पहले इजिप्ट नेशन ने किया.
पहले they never used to recognize Israel as a nation. ठीक है. So Yasser Arafat ने he said okay, he gave a letter of recognition of the right of Israel to have a nation. So वो इनको मिल गया मैम. और इजराइल ने they agreed in principle that they are slowly they are going to cede the territory which they were occupying to the Palestinians. So this was the start point, which was a very good start point. तो Oslo agreement हुआ मैम 93 में.
जी सर.
उसके बाद फिर इनका झगड़ा शुरू हो गया एंड इट कैरियर फर्स्ट इंतिफादा हुआ. ठीक है. उसके बाद सेकंड हुआ 2000 में. उसके बाद जुलाई में कैंप डेविड हुआ मैम, वेयर प्रेसिडेंट क्लिंटन टुक द इनिशिएटिव. और यहाँ पे यासर अराफात को और प्राइम मिनिस्टर इजराइल को दोनों को इकट्ठा किया गया. उसमें इजराइल ने थ्रू यूएस अपने टर्म्स रखी मैम. और टर्म्स क्या थी कि 87 to 92% of West Bank, 87 to 92% of West Bank will be handed over to Palestine, and the Palestinian will have non-militarized state.
Okay, अपने को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए कुछ
नहीं होगा, non-militarized होगी. और 87 से 92% जो है लैंड उनको दी जाएगी. उसमें भी जो 63 जो सेटलमेंट थी वो इजराइल अपने पास रखे।
Okay. Within the West Bank.
Within the West Bank only 63 Jewish settlement will be left with the Israel. बाकी 87 to 92% of the area will be given.
Okay.
दूसरा उन्होंने कहा कि जो जेरूसलम का पार्ट है वो जो थोड़ा सा हिस्सा है we will give it to पैलेस्टीनियन। तीसरी चीज उन्होंने कहा कि नो राइट ऑफ रिटर्न। मैम एक रेफ्यूजीज का एक क्लॉज है नो राइट ऑफ रिटर्न और राइट ऑफ रिटर्न। राइट ऑफ रिटर्न क्या है कि जो रेफ्यूजीज हुए थे उनके बाप दादा हुए थे, उसके बाद उनके बच्चे जो बाहर रह रहे थे वो इजराइल क्या करता था, जो जूस रेफ्यूजी हुए थे उनको तो इजराइल एक्सेप्ट करता था, लेकिन जो पैलेस्टीनियन रेफ्यूजी हुए थे बिकॉज ऑफ इजराइल उनको ही वाज नॉट एक्सेप्ट। तो इजराइल ने कहा वी विल नॉट एक्सेप्ट द पैलेस्टीनियन कमिंग टू इजराइल बिकॉज इफ वी अलाउ देम टू कम बिकॉज दे वर अबाउट 10 लाख, अगर वो आ गए तो हमारा पूरा सोसाइटी पूरा डेमोग्राफी चेंज हो जाएगी।
अच्छा, ओके।
तो ये सब चीजें हुई। तो इसमें जो है व्हेन दिस थिंग वाज प्रोजेक्टेड टू द पैलेस्टीनियन, यासर अराफात ही rightly rejected it. Then Bill Clinton told him कि अगर आप इस चीज को एक्सेप्ट नहीं करते you give the counter offer. But Palestinians were not able to give the counter offer, and Mr. Clinton has said in his remarks that this Camp David failed because of Yasser Arafat.
Okay. तो मतलब सोल्यूशन नहीं देना, प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व,
प्रॉब्लम को मानना नहीं है और सोल्यूशन देना नहीं। उसके बाद खैर एनीवे फॉर 6 months बिल क्लिंटन deputed somebody from his administration who carried on all these discussions and finding out how to solve this problem. Then in December 2000, Bill Clinton gave his proposal.
Okay.
And his proposal was that 90 to 96% of the West Bank and the Gaza Strip will go to Palestinians.
Okay, as decided
earlier, but he increased the area.
Okay.
Initially it was 87 to 92, now it was from 92 to 96%.
Okay.
The second thing what he said was that that part of Jerusalem where the Palestinians have their holy sites, that will be given to the Palestinians.
Okay.
As far as the refugee concerned, he kept it goal more, and he said it will be financial compensation and right to return for the Jews, and thirdly that Israel should acknowledge that because of 1948 and 67 war, there have been hardship to the refugees. Only acknowledge it.
Okay, not to do anything.
Not to do anything.
Okay.
So this thing was proposed, and they both, Yasser Arafat and the Prime Minister of Israel, they agreed to that.
And what about that? Ki within the West Bank, there will be Jews settlement also.
No, that stayed. That was it, but Yasser
Jews के साथ मतलब इजराइल के साथ किसी भी तरीके की
कॉम्प्रोमाइज को ज्यादा नहीं होता, सिर्फ थोड़ा सा एरिया बढ़ा दिया था, गाजा स्ट्रिप पूरी ले लो और उसको भी पैलेस्टीन को भी नॉन मिलिटराइज्ड रखो।
ठीक है।
और दूसरा जो है इसको मॉनिटर करने के लिए, बॉर्डर मॉनिटर करके देयर शुड बी इंटरनेशनल फोर्स, बॉर्डर फोर्स, दोनों के पास इंटरनेशनल बॉर्डर फोर्स होगा जो कि इंटरनेशनली इट विल बी मॉनिटर।
ओके, सो यहाँ पे इजराइल जो है अपने आप को मिलिटरलाइज कर रहे हैं, बट दीज टू आर नॉट अलाउड टू डू दैट।
उसके बाद क्या हुआ कि देन केम द टावर समिट व्हिच वाज इन इजिप्ट। देयर अगेन there were few distinct problems, irritations, those were removed, and that was the time when both the parties came very close to having a deal. But the problem with Israel was that Israel was having elections next month. That was January, this was going on, and in the month of February there was election. In election, that time Prime Minister, he lost the election, and Ariel Sharon, he became the Prime Minister, and he outrightly rejected it. तो ये पूरा का पूरा वहीं पे बैक टू स्क्वायर वन। उसके बाद नंबर ऑफ इनिशिएटिव वर टेकन। वन वाज रोड फॉर पीस व्हिच वाज डन बाय द क्वाड्रेट। व्हाट इज क्वाड्रेट? क्वाड्रेट इज यूएनओ, रशिया, अमेरिका एंड यूरोपियन यूनियन। दे वर द मीडिएटर्स, बट वो भी थोड़ी भूखे, इट वाज स्टिल नॉट एक्सेप्टेड। देन सऊदी अरेबिया केम विद अरब लीग डिस्टिंक्ट प्रपोजल in which most of the points which Clinton had covered were covered. And 1 or 2 points were also covered which were in favor of Palestinians. At that point of time, the Prime Minister also changed of Israel. It was accepted by Yasser Arafat. Later on, it was accepted by the present president of Palestine, that is Mohammed Mahmoud Abbas. It was accepted. But Israelis they were reluctant to accept it, but somehow they accepted it. But when Benjamin Netanyahu came as a prime minister again in 2015, initially he accepted it, and in 2018 he outrightly rejected. So nothing happened.
तो कभी ना मतलब एक कहा बोलता है दूसरा मना कर रहा है तो बता
if you see, there is a total of mistrust between both the parties, and the disagreements are so deep, and there is always they are skeptical about each other कि अगर agreement हो भी गया तो दूसरी साइड मानेंगे कि नहीं मानेंगे वो भी गारंटी,
वो भी कब तक मानेगी क्या
तक मानेंगे, क्योंकि हर प्राइम मिनिस्टर के बाद तो इजराइल चेंज कर देता अपना स्टांस. तो दैट इज द प्रॉब्लम. तो इसलिए ये जैसे थे प्रॉब्लम वैसी की वैसी,
तो वैसे की वैसी है. तो क्या यही रीजन था जिसकी वजह से हमास ने अटैक किया यहाँ पर?
मैम हमास का अटैक करने का अगर देखो देयर आर एन नंबर ऑफ रीजंस, एंड मैं ये कह रहा हूँ कि ठीक है, मैम आई एम नॉट टेकिंग साइड ऑफ हमास, ठीक है, बिकॉज वॉट एवर हमास डिड इज नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल टू एनी. इट वाज अ बारबेरियन एक्ट, ठीक है, नो सिविलाइजेशन शुड एक्सेप्ट इट, एंड एनीबडी हु इज एक्सेप्टिंग और हु इज celebrating Hamas attack, I think he is the person who should be living in this age.
They attack from everywhere.
They attack, but we must understand, and I'll take you to the speech which was given by Antonio Guterres, 25th October. Although for that speech he was highly criticized by the Israelis, and he said that we must not take this Hamas attack in a vacuum. And what he said vacuum was that we must take into account, to understand this, we must take into account that for 56 years, Gaza Strip and West Bank were totally occupied, and it was like a open jail.
हाँ, ओपन एयर प्रिजन बोलते हैं.
ओपन एयर प्रिजन जो है वो थी. तो हमास ने जो किया है वो तरीका उनका गलत था, लेकिन उनका रीजन ठीक है. रीजन अगर उनका आप देखो तो गाजा में they cannot, there is a total blockage, there is a naval blockade from the Israelis, there is a ground blockade from Egypt, and there is a blockade from Israel
side also.
So they are
वो कहीं से भी escape नहीं कर सकते.
कहीं नहीं कर सकते. They have a population of 23 lakh people, and their density is 5,800 people per kilometer, which is one of the highest. And if you compare it with Israel, it is only 415 people per square. That is number one. Their agriculture is in shambles, because neither they can export nor they can import. 80% of the people living in Gaza are living below poverty line. 63% of the people, they are dependent on the international assistance for even food.
Okay.
Their unemployment has gone up by 40%. So all this has created a atmosphere environment with the Palestinian that the two-state solution is not feasible. Why? Because of the expansion of the Israeli settlements.
Okay. They still kept on.
They are still expanding their settlements. Okay. Right? And number two, total blockade. So all these things, if you see, for water they are dependent on Israel. For electricity, 80% of the electricity is supplied by Israel. So if you see, all these problems are there with the people in Gaza Strip, as well as to some extent in West Bank. So this was the main reason, and it was growing over a period of time. But the timings, if you see, the timings are very important to understand.
Exactly. That's what I was coming on.
Timings are very, because if you see from 70s or 80s, early 80s, there have been number of peace treaties. There were a peace treaty between Egypt and Israel, 1982. There was peace treaty with Jordan, 94. There is a peace treaty with Oman. There is a peace treaty with Bahrain. There is a peace treaty with UAE. Okay, so all these peace treaties. So now the Palestinians, they realized, and there was chances of US brokered peace deal with Saudi Arabia also. So now the Hamas started thinking that if all these people are going to have agreement with Israel, then our point or this thing proposal or our point of having a two-state is going to be put in the Thanda Basta.
Are they accepting this two-state solution? They are not, no?
They are not, both of them. Initially they were supposed to accept it. But now they are not accepting. Israel is not accepting because they say that it is not possible because there is so much of threat to us, our security. Palestinians are not accepting in the sense that they have lost hope of accepting it. They say that if Israel is going to keep on expanding, then there are two states. And even if you see all the proposals which I have just mentioned, everywhere the West Bank was divided into 3-4 parts. It is not one contiguous area. The West Bank is divided into 3-4 parts. How can a nation become a nation when it is divided into 3-4 parts and all around it is Israel? So all these problems were there, which led to this Hamas attack. So we blame Hamas for the attack, but we should not blame Palestinians for whatever they are undergoing.
The main thing is that they must have thought कि अब सभी लोग जो है they are accepting Israel, they are becoming friends of Israel, so their cause will be no one will be hearing to their cause.
Their cause will be put in the court.
So that might be, and हो सकता है कि इतने टाइम से इतनी सारी चीजें हो रही थी तो उसकी वजह से
उसकी वजह से था. That was one reason, ma'am. Secondly, if you see after G20 or during G20, there was India, Middle East, European Economic Corridor.
Yes.
That was the point which neither the Turkey liked it nor the Iran liked it. Because in that this route was going to Saudi Arabia. And if you, although they sit together, they were meeting of Iran and Saudi Arabia people together, but in heart of heart they don't like each other. Because Iran is a Shia community and Israel is a distinct. Saudi Arabia is a Sunni community. So, and they both are trying to get the leadership in Middle East.
Yes, and Iran wants to control that.
Iran wants to control, and Iran wants to become leader of Middle East, and so is Saudi Arabia. So what I was telling you, that it is, other reason could be that it because of this economic corridor which was passing through Saudi Arabia and Israel, which neither the Russians, nor the Chinese, nor the Iranians, nor the Turkey people, they were liking this. So maybe that Iran may have, although Iran has denied its hand in this Hamas attack, but maybe the Iran was responsible in asking them to attack.
There are also some reports and some talks also that they were supporting Hamas, weapons also. And
they are supporting, there is no doubt about it. Every year, as per the US estimate, their security agencies estimate, every year Iran is pumping $100 billion to keep the Hamas active in their role. So Hamas, there is no doubt that all these organizations which are proxies which are working in Middle East, whether it is Hamas, Hezbollah, or this thing, all these are being sponsored by Iran. So this could be one of the reasons why this Hamas attack came on 7th of
and that day is also very important.
Very well, right?
1973 also.
1973, same thing happened. Again, it was surprise. And Israelis were again surprised, and this time again.
Again surprise. Rather than they should have
learned from the history at least.
Yes, exactly. कहते भी तो है कि दोबारा repeat भी हो सकती है. History repeats it.
जो history से नहीं सीखते वो फिर वो लटके रह जाते हैं.
That's the problem. And when it comes to over here, as you said, Iran, Russia, China and everyone didn't like this thing. तो यहाँ पे ये भी तो हो सकता है सर, रशिया जो है उन्होंने अपना और यूक्रेन का जो उनका वॉर चल रहा है वहाँ से उनका डिस्ट्रैक्शन लाने के लिए दे माइट हैव हेल्प्ड आउट ओवर हियर कि भाई आप जो है मतलब थोड़ा सा पुश करने के लिए. एंड वहाँ से अभी सर आप देख ही सकते हैं द न्यूज ऑल्सो हु आर टॉकिंग अबाउट यूक्रेन. अभी
नथिंग एक्सेप्ट फॉर ज़ेलेंस्की, कोई और बात ही नहीं कर रहा है.
कोई ध्यान ही नहीं दे रहा है. एवरीवन कंसंट्रेशन इज ओवर हियर इजराइल. एंड इजराइल की जहां तक बात आती है तो यूएस हमेशा से ही सपोर्ट में रहा है, लॉबी करता है, जैसे कि आपने जितने भी अभी अकॉर्ड्स बताए, एग्रीमेंट्स बताए, यूएस इज ऑलवेज देयर.
सारे अकॉर्ड में यूएस था, अब्राहम अकॉर्ड से ही हुआ है सब चीज,
सभी चीज मतलब यूएस इज ऑलवेज देयर. तो यहाँ पे रशिया एंड यूएस का, यहाँ पे इनका 36 का आंकड़ा इज देयर, राइट. सो डेफिनेटली एंड व्हाई रशिया इज एक्चुअली डूइंग दिस थिंग विद इजराइल. इजराइल एंड रशिया का कुछ रिलेशन खराब है?
नहीं, इजराइल और रशिया का कोई खराब नहीं है. ओनली थिंग इज कि यू मस्ट अंडरस्टैंड फ्रॉम द जियोपॉलिटिकल लेवल.
जी जी जी.
जियोपॉलिटिकल लेवल देयर आर ऑल्दो पीपल से नाउ इट इज यूनिपोलर, दैट इज अमेरिका इज द वन हु इज कंट्रोलिंग एवरीथिंग. अर्लियर इट वाज बाइपोलर, रशिया एंड अमेरिका. अभी क्या हुआ कि जब से ये यूक्रेन लड़ाई हुई है, emphasis of the Americans as well as all the Western countries was supporting Ukraine. As a result of which, Russia was not fighting against Ukraine. Russia was fighting against everyone. Russia was alone, and all these people, all NATO countries, and America, they were together. Germany was supplying their arms, Poland was supplying arms, everybody was supplying arms to Ukraine. Now, as a result of this Hamas attack on this thing, the complete focus of American has shifted toward Middle East because of Israel. And secondly, if you remember that on 11th October itself, Americans have started moving their fleet in the Eastern Mediterranean,
yes.
only to give that indication, message to Iran that you stay out of it.
हम तो यहीं पे
हम खड़े हैं यहाँ पे Middle East में. In fact, now there are 2 carriers, there are 7 to 8 destroyers and crews and other things are they are fully deployed in this thing, Red Sea as well as Mediterranean.
And they are eyeing Lebanon also.
They are eyeing Lebanon, they are eyeing Yemen also. All the rockets attacks and all the drones attacks which are going on from Houthi side, they are intercepted by the Americans who are sitting in the Red Sea.
Okay.
So, America is going all out, and even Joe Biden and even their foreign minister has also said that we are rock solid with Israelis. Now, the problem is, if they are rock solid with Israelis, as it is American war machinery was working day and night to support Ukraine, now they are working day and night to support Israel. So now Ukraine has been left in open, right? Even the most of the European countries have started telling Ukraine that now we are not going to supply.
Ukraine must have understood it now.
Ukraine should have understood it. Ukraine should have understood it. You cannot fight somebody based on somebody else's strength.
Exactly.
तो उसके चक्कर में क्या हुआ है कि now Ukraine is not getting any help, and from the day Hamas had attacked, the Russians have started increasing their attack on Ukraine because now they know this is the only opportunity. As long as the attack is going on by the Hamas and Israelis are fighting, you take advantage of that and finish the war as early as possible.
Before that only they have destroyed a lot. Russia, this Ukraine was so beautiful place.
Yeah, it has been
images
completely destroyed.
Completely everything has been destroyed. So when it comes to this kind of attack which Hamas did, ऐसा तो है नहीं सर कि इन्होंने all of a sudden सोचा होगा कि चलो आज अटैक करके आते हैं. तो there must have been proper planning.
And there was a proper planning as well as there was proper training.
हाँ, so exactly, because पैराग्लाइडिंग से आना, जमीन से भी अटैक करके जाना, एंड ऑल दोज इन्फिल्ट्रेशंस, क्योंकि इन्होंने इतने सारे जो बॉर्डर्स पे लगा करके रखे हुए हैं वायस एंड ऑल, फिर वहाँ से भी ये आए अंदर एंटर किए वहाँ से, एंड ऑल दीज थिंग्स मस्ट हैव बीन प्रॉपरली प्लान्ड. हाउ कम मोसाद को ये चीज़ पता ही नहीं चला? बिकॉज व्हेन इट कम्स टू मोसाद, जितनी भी इंटेलिजेंस है, जैसे कि इंटेलिजेंस वाले सभी के सभी, जैसे CIA जैसा हो गया, एंड मोसाद इज समवन जिसको देख करके पीपल फील लाइक कि क्या इंटेलिजेंस है. दे डेलिबरेटली फेल्ड, या फिर जो एक पॉइंट्स होते हैं ना, बिकॉज इंटेलिजेंस इज समथिंग, इट्स नॉट लाइक कि आपको एक ऑल ऑफ अ सडन एक पूरा इन्फॉर्मेशन मिल गया. इसलिए पार्ट्स एंड बिट्स में चीज़ें मिल रही हैं, यू आर इंटरलिंकिंग दोज थिंग्स एंड अकॉर्डिंगली देन यू थिंक कि हाँ ऐसा कुछ हो सकता है. तो मोसाद डिड फेल ओवर हियर.
Ma'am, Mossad failed, there is no doubt. But why did Mossad fail? How did they fail? Ma'am, if you see that although there were no indication coming, but Hamas were getting trained in Iran, ma'am. Okay. There were 500 Hamas fighters, they went there. They were trained by the Quds forces, QUDS, Quds forces, which is one of the outcrops of Iranian Revolutionary Guard, ma'am. So their one brigadier general was made in charge of that, and they were carrying out training there. That was number one. So that training was carried out not in Gaza Strip, it was carried out somewhere else, so they could not pick up the signal, number one. Number two, how did Hamas fail? Because the main concentration of Benjamin Netanyahu was on the West Bank. He was not worried about Hamas because it is said, I don't know how far it is correct, that a lot of Qatar money was coming to Hamas through Israel, telling them to keep quiet and maintain the peace. And Benjamin Netanyahu's main focus was on West Bank, so that he demoralizes the Palestinian Authority, make them totally incompetent, and tell the world that whom should we get in touch with them? There is no authority, there is no there is no peace partner. So how do we do that? So their main concentration on West Bank was there. Third thing was that the Hamas were keeping very, very silent about it. They were not letting anyone know about it. Although, if you remember, Egypt has claimed that 2 days before the attack, they had informed the Israelis. Where now the Israelis are saying that no, we were not informed. Right? But US Foreign Distinct Relation Committee chairman,
They have also informed.
they said that no, 2 days back we had also informed. So Egypt is right when they are saying they had informed. Saudi Arabia told them that something big is going to come up. Even the King the King of Jordan, he also said that unless you do something, there is a big coming. So all those battle indications were coming to the right. But what was happening was, firstly, Benjamin Netanyahu was not very sure that Hamas will do it because he was keeping them happy. Number one. Number two, the intelligence agencies, they were trying to get everything. And it is like you said that it is come in bits and pieces. So when it comes in bits and pieces, the people, they say, okay, let's wait for some more time. So they were waiting for some more time before they could inform the government. So as a result of that, they did not inform the government. There was complacency with Mossad also. And as a result, this attack took place and Israelis were surprised. So that is the reason, ma'am. There was totally intelligence failure.
Obviously, intelligence work for that only.
Intelligence, and their focus was also on internal lessons because there were a lot of protests taking place in Israel because of judicial reforms.
Yes, exactly. The Netanyahu actually changed it.
So there was a lot of focusing on the internal and what disagreement this was going on. Because that's why they could not focus on what was happening in Gaza Strip.
They were like, whatever will happen, it will actually come from the West Bank, not from the Hamas. This Gaza side, exactly. So that was the problem. Okay, so obviously the kind of attack which they did. So this is very obvious. Whichever country will be attacked like that, there will be counter attack. So Israel's the kind of counter attack they are doing. What do you feel that whether it is right? Because when it comes to this thing, Hamas, when they attacked, they were recording all the videos and everything, that how they are killing people, sharing videos also of the women they were capturing, and the pile of the bodies and all those kind of things they were sharing. So in order to instigate the kind of fear in the mind of the people, and as well as when it comes to the government also, obviously. So the kind of counter attack they are doing, because when it comes to the ground assault, lot of civilians are actually who are suffering over here, because now you can see the children are actually being impacted. They are being killed also in the attacks and all. You can see the images from the hospitals also. Is it right to do this kind of counter attack, or what else should have been done? Because when it comes to war, people say everything is right in love and war.
So I don't know about love, but I can tell you about war.
Yes.
Point is that this is a very difficult question to answer.
Exactly.
Right? Because if you look at the humanitarian angle, then we can say that whatever Israel is doing is wrong. But if you take the interest of the nation, especially when 1,500 to 3,000 Hamas fighters, they come into Israel, they kill your babies, they behead your babies, and they kill everyone.
Thousands of
people with no fault of theirs. Now everybody is raising hue and cry कि इतने लोग पैलेस्टीन में मर रहे हैं, इतने लोग पैलेस्टीन में मर रहे हैं. तो वो जो पैलेस्टीन में मर रहे हैं वो भी गलत मर रहे हैं. I am not defending Israel on that. But point is that जो हमास ने किया वो उसके बाद there has to be retaliation.
वो तो होना ही था.
Retaliation मतलब you cannot expect कि आप ये करोगे और फिर दूसरा आदमी जो है humanitarian angle देखेगा. That is not one issue. Now the people are talking about that international rule based लड़ाई होनी चाहिए. And I want to give an example here which is very, very interesting, that this is what the hypocrisy is. And what is the hypocrisy? When Russia was attacking Ukraine, there were a lot of hue and cry by Americans and the Western countries that they are not following the rules of the even war also. They are hitting on the hospitals, they are killing the children. Now same thing Israel is doing. Nobody is raising panic. No one is talking about.
Exactly.
In fact, everyone is saying to stop the war. There is a UN resolution where 121 countries, they supported the resolution that there should be ceasefire, but still it was not acceptable because 11 countries, which included Americans, who said no, the war must carry on. So the point is that this question which you have brought out, whatever is happening in Palestine, in Gaza Strip, is absolutely wrong. But why it is happening? If you see, most of the headquarters, most of the ammunition dump, most of the war material of Hamas is either stored in schools, they are stored in hospitals, they are stored in mosques. Now the Israelis, they know that these are the places where the Hamas is located. Now how to hit Hamas without hitting school and college, mosque and this, that is one problem. Second thing, why this large number of casualties is taking place? Because Hamas is using human beings as a human shield.
Like that Osama bin Laden used.
Yes. Israelis बोल रहे हैं कि आप गाजा से, नॉर्थ गाजा से साउथ गाजा में चले जाओ. हमास बोल रहे हैं आप मत जाओ. हमास जो है बच्चों को, औरतों को, आदमियों को ह्यूमन शील्ड बना के उनके पीछे जो है छुपे हुए. तो जी जो चीज पीछे छुपी हुई है उसको मारने के लिए आपको क्या करना पड़ेगा? इट इज वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेट, आई एग्री विद यू दैट इट इज वेरी अनफॉर्चुनेट कि जो है इसमें बेकार बात में लोग जो है सिविलियंस मर रहे हैं, बच्चे मर रहे हैं. मोस्ट ऑफ द आउट ऑफ 12,000 आई थिंक 5,000 समथिंग आर चिल्ड्रन एंड विमेन ओनली. इट इज वेरी सैड. बट अभी ये है कि अच्छा नाउ दे आर इनसाइड द टनल्स.
हाँ, एग्जैक्टली.
So they are using tunnels also to how to kill the enemy who is everywhere. So that is the problem of the Israelis.
टनल्स तो सर इनिशियली इसलिए बने थे बिकॉज दे वांटेड टू हैव द बेसिक थिंग्स फ्रॉम द इजराइल. तो वो एक तरीके से शायद स्मगलिंग करने के
बेसिक कभी नहीं था मैम. बेसिक चीजों के लिए कभी नहीं थे. इट वाज ऑलवेज यूज्ड फॉर स्मगलिंग ऑफ
वेपन्स ओनली.
यस मैम.
फ्रॉम इजराइल टू
फ्रॉम इजराइल, इजिप्ट टू इजराइल.
इजिप्ट. ओके.
ठीक है. एंड गोइंग थ्रू द टनल्स इनटू इजराइल, फायरिंग देयर, किलिंग पीपल एंड कमिंग बैक. बिकॉज़ बाकी जगह तो सारे बैरिकेड्स लगे हुए, बाकी बाग वार लगी हुई. तो दैट वाज द ओनली प्लेस दे कुड कम एंड गो. So ये जो भी हो रहा है that is unfortunate, but इसमें जो है जो although Israel may be trying to make sure that the state must be done, but कितना हो पा रहा है पता नहीं.
वो तो मुश्किल ही होगा क्योंकि because
अगर देश देश की लड़ाई हो ना तो मैम it is very easy to fight. Where you are fighting the terrorists who are amongst the population, then it is a very difficult.
Because you cannot identify.
You cannot identify. How do you know? Okay, he is Hamas, or he is not Hamas. How do I know?
And among those civilians only, there will be a lot many people who might be the part of Hamas. They might have escaped northward.
If you see, 70% of the people, there was a poll which was conducted by Palestine Center of Research and Survey, which asked the Gaza Strip people and the West Bank people that what is the option available to you to make sure that Israel does not increase their settlement or Israel does not attack. 70% of the people in Gaza, they said that the armed struggle is the only option available.
So it's in everyone's mind.
It is in everyone's mind. And in Gaza Strip, especially if you see the youth, the students, the low-class workers, the government employees, all of them, they say that the only way of survival is to finish up Israel.
Okay.
So that is the mental state of the people, especially in the Gaza Strip. West Bank people are not all that against Israel. Although they are, but they are not all that against. Only 46% of the people want that there should be armed struggle against Israel. Rest 54% doesn't want attack. They say that we should have negotiations. But majority of the people in Gaza, they are against the destruction and they call it a jihad. Destroying Israel is a jihad for Hamas. So if Israel has to survive, then they have to destroy Hamas.
So they are doing...
They are doing a difficult task, I know, and there a lot of this thing has been criticism have been there from all over. But that is what their war is always bad.
Exactly. Well, to say it is the more we are actually talking about this thing, it is more becoming feeling as if it is really very complicated, very complicated. Because if we see only the arms way to get the solution, that won't be the solution actually. Because there will be a point, दोनों एक दूसरे को मार के खत्म कर देंगे, हो गया फिर कौन वहाँ पे रहेगा? Now, initially Israelis were like कि भाई you just give me some area only, we will be happy. So अगर शायद वो उसी टाइम मिल गया रहता मेजर पार्ट आप अपने पास ही रखे रहते तो शायद ये इशू नहीं होता, नहीं होता।
They had to be compromised. But
Compromise.
both sides they didn't compromise on anything.
वो इनिशियली तो देवर लाइक कि नहीं हमको उतना ही मिलना चाहिए ना। इट्स ना इसमें जैसे मुझे महाभारत की कहानी इसमें याद आ रही है। देवर द पांडवास लाइक यू जस्ट गिव अस 5 ग्राम हमको दे दो भाई, है ना। तो भाई लोग ने वो भी नहीं दिया, तो उसके बाद जो है लड़ाई शुरू हो गई। तो वही टेरिटरी, तो टेरिटरी की लड़ाई यहाँ पर भी वही चीज चल रही है। So as you can see that the US is supporting Israel, right? And when it comes to Russia, China, Iran, everyone is against US obviously. तो यहाँ पर it's नहीं लग रहा जैसे कि as if the Cold War kind of thing। अब वो तो Cold War खैर वो तो अलग था, लेकिन here again the two groupings are becoming. So where India will be going? Because when it comes to India, next year elections are रहे, and we know that Palestinians, we cannot go against them. Right. Initially, we were against Israel formation because Israel was the first country to be formed on the basis of religion. And यहाँ पे इंडिया वो 1948 में फॉर्म हो, यहाँ पे इंडिया से डिवाइड होकर के पाकिस्तान, ईस्ट एंड वेस्ट पाकिस्तान बने। तो ऑब्वियसली इंडिया वाज नॉट इन फेवर ऑफ दिस थिंग, सो इजराइल के फेवर में भी नहीं थे। बट ओवर द पीरियड ऑफ टाइम वी बिकेम फ्रेंड्स, एंड हमारा जो स्टैंड रहा है पैलेस्टीनियंस को लेकर के, सो दैट इज ऑलवेज ऑब्वियसली देयर। वी आर एक्चुअली इन फेवर ऑफ 2 स्टेट सोल्यूशन को लेकर के। बट अगर इस तरीके की अगर ग्रुपिंग की बात करें तो वेयर डज दिस इंडिया स्टैंड्स ओवर हियर? बिकॉज व्हेन इट कम्स टू द रशिया एंड यूक्रेन, तो हमारा तो भले ही हम ओपनली उतना नहीं कर रहे थे, लेकिन इट वाज क्वाइट विजिबल कि हम जो है रशिया के ही सपोर्ट में है, राइट? बट हियर वेयर वी गो,
ऐसा है कि this foreign policy of ours has not changed.
अच्छा,
It is a very good thing that like Israel, with every new prime minister, the foreign policy changed. In spite of number of prime ministers coming from different parties, our foreign policy more or less has remained same. From the day one, we had always supported Palestinian because we always felt that they were the people who were at disadvantage. That was number one. Number two, now when it comes to now the present crisis which is happening, where do India stand? Now India, when Hamas attacked Israel, India was with Israel and we totally condemned the attack. First day itself, our Prime Minister gave the statement that this is totally not acceptable and we are standing with Israel. Now after that thing has happened, now when there was a UN resolution which was passed regarding the settlements of Israelis, which is extending, we were the one who went against Israel. Because we are very clear that Hamas attack was wrong. But you cannot now attack this way that you cannot have collective punishment for all the people, whether they are in Gaza Strip or in the West Bank. We have always been advocate of 2 state. We are still advocated 2 state solution, and government is very, very clear. We did very good balancing act when Russia and Ukraine war started. Even everybody was talking that India should also condemn Russia. We never condemned it because Russia was always been a friend and he was the actual friend.
Exactly.
As far as the USA is concerned, we don't know whether they will be a friend or no. They will be actual friend when we need them. But Russia is a tried out friend. Yes. Right? So same ways with this thing, our act will always be balanced. We will criticize the terrorism, but we will always support the Palestinians. Yes. We will always support the Palestine. And we will always be supporting 2-state solution. That the Palestinians have got right to exist respectfully.
So will there be any kind of impact on US and India also because of this war?
Now, if you see, all this geopolitics is revolving around the economics.
Exactly. Money.
Even if you remember a few days back, even some of the 7-8 countries of Middle East, they have also said that we will not spoil our relation with Israel in spite of whatever is going on. Because everyone knows that the future of any country depends on the economics of that country. Even the Americans know. Americans know that if we don't get closer to India or we get away from India, then Americans have got no chances in the Indo-Pacific area. So it is सब अपनी जरूरतें पूरे कर रही, किसी का कोई मतलब नहीं है। चाहे वो दुनियादारी में देखो, चाहे आप इंटरनेशनल पॉलिटिक्स में देखो, सब अपना उल्लू सीधा कर रहे हैं। अमेरिकन आर सपोर्टिंग इजराइल ओनली बिकॉज उनको पता है कि मिडिल ईस्ट में तुम्हारी जो है वो रहनी चाहिए. यू कैन मूव वेरीवर वेर एवर यू वांट टू, देयर इज अ बेस देयर. रशिया को ये लगता है कि यार ये अभी जो है यूक्रेन के साथ लड़ाई चल रही है, ये सब बिजी हो गए वहां पे, तुम अपना उल्लू सीधा करो. चाइना सबसे स्मार्ट है, वो कहीं पे इन्वॉल्व नहीं है और वो सबसे ज्यादा अपना इकोनॉमिक रिकवरी कर रहा है. सो मैम, इट इज क्वेश्चन ऑफ इकोनॉमिक्स. लोग, देयर आर नो परमानेंट फ्रेंड्स इन इंटरनेशनल.
एग्जैक्टली.
देयर आर परमानेंट इंटरेस्ट. ये है.
जैसे जैसे इंटरेस्ट चेंज होगा वैसे
वैसे वैसे इनकी
friendship भी
पॉलिसी
change
चेंज
हो
होगी.
जाएगी. जी सर, जी सर. चाइना का तो ऑब्वियसली बात है कि यहाँ पे इंटरेस्ट तो रहता ही, बिकॉज एज यू सेड IMEC है ना, तो वो इंडिया से होकर के इंडियन इकोनॉमी के लिए बेटर
है और उनका जो वो रोड सिस्टम है वो उनका फेल हो जाएगा.
हाँ, वो ऑलरेडी इंडिया इज नॉट सपोर्टिंग, एंड इंडिया साउथ ग्लोबल में वैसे ही एज अ लीडर जो है निकल के आ रहा है, तो उस वजह से चाइना को भी थोड़ा सा सेटबैक तो फील हो ही रहा है.
बिल्कुल.
सो नाउ द वर्ल्ड अटेंशन इज ओवर हियर ओनली, राइट. सो आप एक चीज अगर देखें सर, हिस्टोरिकली भी और अभी भी अगर आप देखें, तो यू कैन सी दिस थिंग कि जो मिडिल ईस्टर्न एरिया है, यूएस का इंटरेस्ट इसका हमेशा से यहाँ पे रहा है, राइट. सो लाइक ऑयल को लेकर के बात हो जाए और एनीथिंग एल्स, व्हाई यूएस इज ऑलवेज इंटरेस्टेड, लाइक इसको अपने को जो है हर जगह पे सुपर पावर फील कराने के लिए, या फिर ऑयल इज द ओनली रीजन?
ऑयल इज द ओनली रीजन.
ओके,
ठीक है, ऑयल इज द ओनली रीजन बिकॉज अगर आप देखें, अमेरिका पे पास ऑयल की कमी नहीं है. अमेरिका के अपने पास भी बहुत ऑयल है.
हाँ, लेकिन
बट दे हैव केप्ट इट. उन्होंने उनको बंद करके रखा हुआ है. ठीक है, उनको ये पता है कि कभी ना कभी, बिकॉज दिस इज वन थिंग विच इज गोइंग टू फिनिश ऑफ. इट इज मतलब नेवर एंडिंग तो है नहीं. मिडिल ईस्ट से जो तेल आ रहा है उसको यूज करो. इराक के अंदर गए, ओनली सिर्फ बहाना करके देयर इज अ बायोलॉजिकल केमिकल वेपन विद सदाम हुसैन, नथिंग वाज फाउंड आउट, बट इराक के ऊपर कब्जा कर लिया. ठीक है, उसके बाद जितनी ये कंट्रीज है, सीरिया है, उसके बाद जो लेबनान है, जॉर्डन वगैरह, सबको जो है अपने उसमें कंट्रोल में किया हुआ है. सिर्फ इसलिए क्योंकि इनके पास ऑयल है. जिस दिन इनके पास ऑयल खत्म हो जाएगा, अमेरिका इनको
जिधर जिधर गए डिस्ट्रक्शन
है. तो ये जो है, जो सारा का सारा जो मिडिल ईस्ट के ऊपर फोकस है, इट इज ओनली बिकॉज ऑफ ऑयल, बिकॉज एवरीबॉडी रिक्वायर्स एनर्जी. आप देखेंगे कि 50 to 60% ऑफ द ऑयल ऑफ मिडिल ईस्ट गोज टू चाइना. ठीक है, रशिया के पास अपना ऑयल है, हमारे पास जो है, वी वर आल्सो डिपेंडेंट ऑन सऊदी अरेबियन ऑयल टू दिस मिडिल ईस्ट कंट्री. बट ये जब से लड़ाई हुई है, वी हैव स्टार्टेड बाइंग फ्रॉम रशिया बिकॉज वी आर गेटिंग चीपर ऑयल. ठीक है, तो ये सारा का सारा जो है चक्कर है, जो अमेरिकन का है या चाइनीज का भी है, देयर मोर इंटरेस्ट इज ऑयल इन मिडिल ईस्ट.
So the scene is oil, obviously, and US का you must have seen in the South America also, wherever oil का ज्यादा है reserves, वहाँ पे भी उन्होंने जो है कुछ ना कुछ गड़बड़ करके रखा है, whether it comes to the Argentina and the other places and all. Okay, so and now if we look at these kind of things, the powerful countries on the two other side, right? So do you feel that is there any kind of world war going to happen?
No, ma'am, world war is not.
अगर ये जो मिडिल ईस्टर्न कंट्रीज है, ये सभी अरब वर्ल्ड वाले, ये सब भी अगर मिल जाए इजराइल
नहीं मिले, मैं टेलिंग यू, ये जो अगर यूक्रेन के बाद वर्ल्ड वॉर नहीं हुआ तो अब भी वॉर नहीं हो.
अच्छा,
बिकॉज इट इज इन नोबडीज इंटरेस्ट. अभी सिर्फ प्रॉक्सी लड़ाई होगी. अमेरिका को रशिया से लड़ना है तो वो डायरेक्ट नहीं लड़ेगा, वो यूक्रेन से लड़ा.
अच्छा.
और यहाँ पे भी मिडिल ईस्ट में देखें, मिडिल ईस्ट में एक्सेप्ट फॉर इजराइल फाइटिंग द हमास, देयर इज नो डायरेक्ट फाइटिंग बिटवीन द नेशंस. Otherwise, if you see in 1948 में, all other league nations, they come together and they fought with Israel. Then 1967 they attacked Israel. In 1973 again they attacked Israel. In spite of attacking so many times, they are not attacking now.
They have understood.
They have understood that their attack will not get them anything. In fact, whenever they have attacked, they have lost territory.
Yes, sir. Israel.
They have lost territory. So now they know, because now I told you now everything is focused on economics. अगर इकोनॉमिक्स का आपको फायदा है, देन यू मे फाइट, अदरवाइज यू विल नॉट फाइट. सो दैट इज द रीजन, मैम, कि देयर विल बी नो थर्ड वर्ल्ड वॉर. यस, इवन इफ थर्ड वर्ल्ड वॉर एवर टेक प्लेस, it will be not in the Middle East, it will be in South China Sea.
Okay, so you are saying कि वहाँ पे होगा.
हाँ, वहाँ और
China might be distracting people कि South China में हम कुछ भी करें तो Taiwan and all.
About 20 years back there was a book written, I don't remember the name of the book, in which he had mentioned that China in next 20 years will become so powerful that it will be challenge to everyone, and it is a fact now.
Yeah.
Even the Americans, they cannot face the challenge of the Chinese. That's why they are getting closer to India. That's why this Quad is coming up. So if ever World War take place, it will only take place now in South China Sea or Indian Ocean, because these two places are the main trade route.
Yes,
Malacca Strait
yes.
is the main trade route. And if all the energy requirements of China comes through Middle East, and even if they have to take oil from Russia, you'll be surprised that they have to go to the western part of Russia, because all the oil fields of Russia are on the western side. And China is on the eastern side. So either they have to go through Middle East, Mediterranean, and then Indian Ocean, and then go up, or they go through Arctic Ocean, and then they go, which is very difficult. So this war, if ever take place, will be in South China Sea.
So it is going to be China versus everyone.
It will be China versus America, or China. Then Americans, Russians may join them. Then North Korea will join.
Joining Russians. The Chinese definitely they will be joining Russia.
China, Russia, North Korea.
North Korea.
So
हाँ,
these
तो they are
तो सब इकट्ठे है ना यहाँ पे।
हाँ जो तो मिल भी रहे हैं सर एक दूसरे
तो
से।
इस साइड जो है it will be Japan,
हाँ,
and बाकी तो ये 8-9 countries, they are small countries like Thailand, Cambodia,
The
Laos,
Philippines, जिनका वहाँ पे इंटरेस्ट है साउथ चाइना सी में।
other sides of Australia. Then they are trying to group in India also. In that.
The Quad has formed because of
Yes.
that only, you know,
Yes.
चाइना को ही काउंटर करने के लिए।
बिल्कुल।
So after this thing, दो ये इजराइल के तो थोड़ा डिफरेंट हो गया, लेकिन what do you feel that अगर suppose ये war होता है, because I am very much interested in this thing, कि चाइना जो है ये bifurcate हो जाएगा, ये टूट जाएगा, हाँ ऐसा नहीं लगता है, because the Tibetans they also don't want to be the part, the
China is very, very
also,
powerful.
हाँ,
China is very powerful.
okay,
China is very powerful and economically also.
हाँ exactly, और उन्होंने कितनी सारी कंट्रीज को डेट ट्रैप की
Debt
वजह से
trap पे
फंसा करके रखा हुआ है।
China को Americans जो है, why they are going after India? They were never with India earlier.
हाँ,
They were always with
Pakistan,
Pakistan. They were
sir.
always with Pakistan. Whether it was 65 war, it was
Right.
71 war, they were always supporting Pakistan.
yes sir,
Till Prakram, which happened when the parliament was attacked, or Kargil war.
90
ठीक है, till then also they were with Pakistan. ठीक है, otherwise Kargil wouldn't have happened if Americans had told them, Musharraf, you will not attack, but they still attacked. So ma'am, it is not that America is doing any favor by getting to us. In fact, we are favoring them by getting closer to them.
वैसे भी यूएस जिसके साथ नहीं रहा सर उनका तो बेड़ा गर्क
बेड़ा गर्क
दैट पाकिस्तान आल्सो
पाकिस्तान इजराइल
तो इजराइल
देख
आल्सो
लो
तो उनको भी प्रॉब्लम आई थिंक दिस आयरन डोम आल्सो फेल्ड ये जब बात होती है यहाँ पर टेक्नोलॉजी की सो इजराइल की टेक्नोलॉजी एवरीवन इज लाइक इजराइल इज द बेस्ट
यस
बट दैट आल्सो फेल्ड बिकॉज़ दे अटैक्ड सो मेनी
they attacked 5,000 rockets.
एक
Its
साथ
capacity is only 2,000.
ट्रैक ही नहीं कर
ट्रैक
पाए
नहीं कर पाए एंड ट्रैक तो कर लेंगे
हाँ
पर मैम 5,000 मिसाइल्स को रॉकेट्स को डिस्ट्रॉय करने के रिक्वायर्ड 5,000 मिसाइल्स
हाँ हाँ
मतलब मिसाइल से ही तो आप इंटरसेप्ट करते हो उनको बाकी तो उनको अपने आप थोड़ी उड़ा सकते हो तो उसके लिए इतने रॉकेट्स तो आपको भी चाहिए ना उनको डिस्ट्रॉय करने के लिए
Here comes the main question. वैसे तो सारे ही बहुत मैंने लेकिन ये जो एक ह्यूमन एंड AI एंड प्लस ये जो टेक्नोलॉजी की बात आती है बिकॉज एवरीवेयर पीपल लाइक चलो टेक्नोलॉजी यूज कर लेते हैं ना AI यूज कर लेते हैं ना तो ह्यूमन इंटेलिजेंस को रिप्लेस करने के लिए भी हो रहा है कि टेक्नोलॉजी को रिप्लेस कर
मैन बिहाइंड द मशीन
मैन बिहाइंड मशीन
you can have during 65 war Pakistan had much better equipment than us. They had Sabre jets, they had starfighters aircraft which were the latest at that point of time. They had the Patton tank which was the latest tank at that point of time. And we had only AMX 13 tank, small tank of France. And we were fighting and my regiment was fighting with Patton tanks in the Chamjorian sector. And we destroyed Pakistani tanks. We destroyed NAT tank, which was the NAT aircraft, which was very, very small. The NAT aircraft could destroy the Sabre jet and starfighters. So it was the man behind the machine, man, which counts. It is technology, yes, but nothing to replace human beings.
ह्यूमंस को नहीं रिप्लेस कर सकते अभी मैन बिहाइंड दिस थिंग तो आप जो बोल रहे हैं उसमें 1971 का भी वॉर मुझे ध्यान में आ रहा है देयर आल्सो 5,000 ना आई गेस इंडियंस जिन्होंने लैक्स ऑफ अराउंड 90,000
90,000 were taken as prisoners.
हाँ, वो तो माइंड गेम करके वो चीज तो रोबोट्स ये सारी चीजें ये
नहीं,
डेफिनेट सी बातें नहीं कर सकते हैं.
तो वही तो कह रहा है, इट इज मैन बिहाइंड द मशीन में.
So obviously बात है कि this is something and IDF also. So where was it when all these things happened? उसके बाद ये लोग कितने टाइम बाद जो है IDF इनका इजराइल का.
Now, IDF, if you know,
हाँ.
IDF is regular IDF is very very less. Israel has shortage of manpower, so their people, their IDF are actual जो people है on active list. There are two types of list. One is active list, one is reserve list. Active list में लोग कम होते हैं.
अच्छा.
They are the bare and minimum people who are looking after the borders and other areas, and they are the people who are looking after the maintenance of the equipment. Rest are all reservists. So reservist को बुलाने के लिए takes time. So initially when Hamas attacked, that time only very few people in the IDF were available.
और वो भी शायद वेस्ट बैंक था कि
वो भी ज्यादातर वेस्ट बैंक में थे, ईस्ट इधर तो थे ही नहीं यहाँ पे. तो उसके बाद जब अटैक हुआ, उसके बाद then took 2-3 days to people to mobilize and to get all the reservists back. Although उनके orders, मतलब इजराइल आर्मी में orders ये है कि as soon as you listen on the radio set that the war had started, please report to the nearest unit, military unit.
ओके, उनको अपनी
और उनकी यूनिफॉर्म वगैरह उनका जो पैक हमेशा तैयार रहता है.
अच्छा.
वो उठा के और अपना सीधा जो भी नेक्स्ट वहाँ पे मिलिट्री यूनिट है उनके घर के वहां जाके रिपोर्ट करते हैं. आफ्टर दैट वेयर दे हैव टू गो, उनको बता दिया जाता है. तो दैट इज देयर रेडीनेस. तो उस समय जब अटैक हुआ था, सिंस दे वर सरप्राइज्ड, तो ऑब्वियसली देयर एक्टिव लिस्ट वाज वेरी लेस एंड मोर पीपल वर ऑन द लिस्ट, बिकॉज़ वही लोग लड़ते हैं, वही फैक्ट्री में काम करते हैं, वही यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ाते हैं. हाँ, तो वही सब कुछ वही है.
Just the same manpower.
That's why they are asking, I was reading in newspaper that they are asking for 1 lakh Indian workers to work in Israel because they don't trust anyone else. तो इसलिए वो, क्योंकि जो पैलेस्टीनियन थे वो तो सब निकाल दिए. So now they want some workers, तो सबसे जो cheap labor is available only in India.
China and India में रहते हैं.
They can trust the Indians also.
And we are the one जो कि एकदम cheap labor, बहुत अच्छा दाम भी है,
अच्छा काम भी है और मिल भी जाते हैं लोग.
हाँ,
तो that is the reason.
So the manpower is going to flow from here
Yes.
now if this thing happens over here. So though as of now no kind of solution until they
only
come
solution,
together.
temporary solution is that the Hamas should release the hostages. They should release the hostages, and Israelis should have a ceasefire, 3 days, 4 days, and after that, then they must give some solution to Hamas, which should be acceptable. Otherwise, if Israelis have their way, they are going to take, after taking the hostages, they will again start attacking. Okay. Because their aim objective is to finish off Hamas.
तो obvious बात है, जब तक उनका मिशन खत्म नहीं होगा, मोसाद की कितनी सारी स्टोरीज है.
उनका मिशन phases में they had planned in 3 phases. First phase they will have airstrike and ground offensive. Second phase they will remove all the resistance, and third phase is they will reduce Gaza. Now Gaza, North Gaza will be divided to 2, North Gaza and South Gaza.
They were saying
and now they will make sure that same thing does not happen again. तो उसके लिए now they will keep their Israeli troops in the Gaza itself. अभी तक तो blockade था. अब जो actually वहाँ पे जो Israelis वहाँ पे रहना, army वहाँ पे stationed हो जाए.
But that is going to backfire for sure.
Let it backfire.
I know.
Because that is the only solution.
Because the other people also, UN will be accepting this thing.
No, who listens to UN? UN has become totally incompetent organization. Defunct organization है. UN में resolution पास होते तो कोई सुनता नहीं. UN का secretary general जो है बोलता है कि Hamas attack was not in vacuum. He is criticized by the Israelis. UN is not very effective organization.
उन्होंने तो जो भी decision
UN ने अब तक कौन सा decision? UN ने पार्टीशन प्लान किया था, इट वाज नॉट एक्सेप्टेड.
यस, मैं भी वही बोलने वाली थी. उन्होंने 2 ये डिसीजन लिए, मेन कश्मीर एंड इंडिया का, वो अभी तक वैसा ही है, और उनका लिया वो
जहाँ भी यूएन ने जिस डिसीजन लिए कहीं पे भी कामयाब नहीं
होती. अच्छा, so this was all about the Israel and Palestine issue. I hope you people really enjoyed. Thank you, sir, for power-packed podcast. This was really very interesting. Thanks for coming, sir. And as I told you earlier also, you will be the next guest very soon.
Yes, whenever you will call me, I'll be here.
Sure. So, see you in the next video, guys. I hope you people really enjoyed. Take care, bye-bye, and have a great time. Jai Hind.